Okay, we just start. Om Vasudeva Sutang Devam Kangsha Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnang Bande Jagadgurum. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I salute Bhagavan Sri Krishna, the Lord of the universe, the Guru of the universe, the son of Vasudeva, the destroyer of the demons, Kamsa and Chanura, and their darling, dear, loving son of Devaki. Om, peace, peace, peace. What a bolbe na, eta sunna jai, bole na. So we are on the book number 3, chapter 28, and we are reading verse number 27 today. So it was the continuation of Bhagavan Kapila, describing about that nature of Jiva and how that consciousness is the goal of life, Supreme Spirit, that is Sri Krishna. So it says, Bhagavan Kapila said in last verse 24 and 25, I am reading just to connect. The Jiva, who has experienced the joys and sorrows provided by Prakriti, has abandoned them as utterly worthless, and has established himself in the glory of the Supreme Being, is never again obsessed by Prakriti. That means if the journey starts and people move towards God, or the analysis of the Prakriti and Purusha, that is the chapter which we are doing, the Jiva, when he experienced the joys and sorrows provided by Prakriti, the Prakriti of the three gunas, is created this whole universe, and Prakriti enjoying all, nothing but happiness and misery, suffering and pleasure and pain. And that is the purpose of the Prakriti, to take the individual soul to the different experiences of happiness, misery, pleasure, pain, and ultimately has abandoned them as utterly worthless. The Jiva understands this running into the world and suffering and joy, pleasure and pain, too much. It is useless, it is worthless. When they understand, then they establish, the Jiva then establish in the consciousness, Purusha. He has established himself in the glory of the Supreme Being, Purusha. He is never again obsessed by Prakriti. That means when they know that Prakriti is separate, Purusha is separate, and because of wrong identification of the Purusha consciousness with the Prakriti, which is Jara, and that is bringing me all these sufferings and joys and all the opposites of life, happiness, misery, pleasure, pain, all these dualities. I am tired of it. And when that tiring experience comes, he understands that there is useless to roam around in this world, unsubstantial world of duality. Then he separates out and then establishes himself, not in Prakriti. I was establishing on Prakriti. So all the Prakriti becoming me. I was feeling Prakriti, rice, potato, dal, etc. We think they are hot. Heat, identified with those things. And heat separates out, understands that no, I am separate. I am eternally free. I am light, I am consciousness. So separate from Jara, the material object. Then he happens what? He separates out and he becomes free from this entanglement. And then what happens? The Supreme Glory of Being is never again gets obsessed with Prakriti. In Vedanta say they don't get engrossed into Maya again anymore. Here they are talking about the Prakriti and the three gunas, they don't get identified anymore. And further he continued, Kapil Dev said, the dreams experienced by a sleeping person, as example. When the dream we experience in our, anyone when I am sleeping, what happens? That can cause him much unpleasantness. There may be a violent dream, fearful, frightening dream, and that may cause suffering to me, unpleasantness to me. But when he is awakened, they trouble him no more. Yes, some people take it to be true, that's why they get troubled, otherwise everyone says, oh, that was dream. Dream has no value now. And I know that is only dream. That is not true like this. But again, now I am thinking this is true. When you go to sleep, this has no value. So this identification is the primary object of spiritual life. So, but when one is awakened, they trouble him no more. In the same way, when Prakriti cannot harm the persons who have known the truth, this Prakriti which is so much of attraction and repulsion, of suffering and pain, or joys, or excitement, whatever, it cannot allure the Jiva who has separated himself from. Once they have learned that this is the suffering going on because of my identification with this, and when he can separate out, then he becomes free. In the same way, Prakriti cannot harm the person who have known the truth regarding that unaffected Atman and whose mind always united with me. That means in devotion he thinks of God and merged into God, so the Prakriti cannot do anything to that person. That means by this process of separation, and this is loving me, the Lord of the universe, they are never entangled into the world. That's called the God realization. 27th verse, what we are reading today. Page 271. Through such absorption in spiritual practices, for a very long time, covering several births, the aspirant develops intense dispassion for everything up to and including Brahmaloka. Suppose if this experience, okay, this earthly experience is over, then people think, oh, there is greater joy in the heaven. No? So they may go to heaven. And there also this knowledge, he gets into such an understanding that this also is the same, here and there are the same mind. So he says, such absorption in God, loving God so deeply in spiritual practices for a long time, doing 1 lifetime, 2 lifetimes, 5 lifetimes, whatever. That's why many lifetimes are needed for total wisdom to attain. So this aspirant develops intense dispassion for everything, not only here, material pleasure and pain, heavenly pleasure and pain. That they are saying Brahmaloka. Brahmaloka, another higher plane. All lokas are beyond earth we call heaven. And Hindu have so many lokas, and Brahmaloka is the plane of Brahma, the creator. As if it is, there is no death. But there is death. Brahma's one day goes, another day comes, Brahma is, so he also lives 100 years, according to the concept of Hinduism, that Brahma, who creates this universe, is a position. One gets that position, he lives for 100 years. So, for 1 day of him, of Brahma, is how many millions of lifetime issues here. So he lives not 1 day, He lives 365 days times 100. So many days he lives. You go and identify there with Punnam, it's a great auspicious activity. You can enjoy the bliss there. No one can touch you. You are in the Brahma Loka. But Brahma also, after 100 years, his position will go away. So your position is also gone. So that is also not permanent. But when the experience comes over here by spiritual practice, not by mere talk, and loving God intensely, God who created Brahma, Vishnu, etc., God, Ishvara, one Ishvara created Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, Shiva. And who is Ishvara? Nirguna Nirvishesha is the real Ishvara. Saguna Ishvara is say, who is called the Lord of the Lord. That's why Krishna, in this philosophy you are reading, he is Krishna, named as Krishna. Then, so he gets disgusted or dispassion for everything up to and including Brahmaloka. From here, there, he is never attracted or attached to anything. All the temptations, that's why last temptation is called. Christ had last temptation, but he has to overcome that. And he can overcome. How? By his innate purity, innate spiritual connection with the Creator. So now, he can develop dispassion. So intense dispassion. Then, by my unbounded grace, such a devotee becomes aware of the truth and attains in this life itself to that state of blessedness founded in me called Kaivalya. So they reach by my grace because they take refuge in me. So those souls, they get unbounded love and connection with me and blessedness. They establish themselves. By my grace I confer them a state, never to come down from that level. It's called Kaivalya. Kaivalya means Kevala. Kevala means onlyness. Only God in that awareness. That which this Kaivalya consists in the establishment of oneself in one's real nature. This is called Kaivalya. This is called one established in his own divine nature. That means it is at last, it is the Brahma Jnana state. Established in absolute certainty through enlightenment, the subtle body also of such a yogi is destroyed at death. Those practicing this and who is established in God so intensely, so what happens? Here's the gross body dies, but also subtle body also is destroyed at that point of death, and he never returns to the life of samsara again. He never comes back. He has to come back in this world. That means long time spiritual practice is necessary, and that long time spiritual practice creates a mood, loving God and praying and identifying, analyzing all this process. He gets into a state, his attraction for everything goes away, from this level to that level. Because people always think that this world is full of misery. What about in the heaven? They have the concept, heaven concept is, normally is this, there is no suffering, there is no disease, there is no death, there is no old age, there is no fear. So, that's it. But yes, there is, you have to come back, finishing that effect of good karma. One will have to come back again. That's a period of enjoyment.
What is the fear? Fear of losing heaven is there.
Not,
Because only become fearless when you are free. Other than that, fearless state cannot be attained.
So when they love intensely like this, then what happens? By God's grace, they get established into God. They love God. Even going into the heaven, you love God or you love the other sumptuous food available in the cruise, or you get whatever other attractive things of singing, dancing going on. It's free. In cruise, everything is free, prepaid. No. So similarly, there is all prepaid things are available. But that he will be, ordinary sadhakas will be stuck, they will have to come back again. But those who fall in love with God, he says, I am no more interested in all this, because I know it may be little longer joy, longer peace, but it is not eternal. So they get absorbed in God. And as a result, they become free from the entanglement of birth and death. Established in absolute certainty through enlightenment. This is the enlightenment. The subtle body also of such a yogi is destroyed at death. This body is the gross body, to enjoy the gross world. Who goes to heaven? This body does not go. Your subtle body goes. Dream body, what you dream. When you dream, who goes? You. Another, you create yourself in the dream. That is the 17 elements we talked about.
So the subtle body isn't just pranamaya kosha, it's all the subtle
17. We talked about that. Remember, one for all. 17 parts are there for subtle body. There are prana only, not pranamaya kosha will not do. There are 3 times 5. What are the 3, 5 times? All the 5 gross elements are there. Subtle elements are there. Subtle element. 5 sense organs, 5 organs of activity, the 3, 5, 5, 5. 5 subtle elements, because there is all the elemental water, air, fire, all are there. But not this one, this is gross. Gross fire, gross air, gross air. And plus these sense organs, organs of action, hand, feet, etc. are there, eyes, ear, perception are there. There are 5, 10, and
Not going, like this hand is not going to the subtle world.
the subtle body. You see in your dream you have a hand.
Dream
Oh,
hand.
that's right, but dream hand, don't talk about that. Whatever you see, that is real for you. Now you are saying dream hand, but when someone hits your hand, then you cry. In the dream body cries. We are talking about what is the dream body. Understand 17 elements, that is the subtle body. What remains there? Mind, you have a mind, and then think of yourself. When you dream, you have a mind. You have an understanding, intellect. You have your ego. I will do, I will not do. And you have a memory there also. So all these 4 are compacted into called mano-buddhi, mind and intellect. Mano-buddhi. So mano-buddhi, these are the 2, and here are 15. 15 plus 2, 17. They constitute your subtle body. When you go to sleep, they are also consumed in ignorance. And what remains there? Only I. I slept. I do not know anything. So only I. I get associated with other things when it comes to the subtle body, and that is associated with the 5 gross element here. So this is the 3 bodies. So when one loves God, he disidentifies with all these things, and because of his identification with God as consciousness, all these things drop and they have no impact on him. So this established in that absolute certainty through enlightenment, the subtle body also of such a yogi is destroyed at death, and he never returns to the life of samsara. O Mother Devahuti, mother of Kapila, Kapil Devi is saying, O Kapila, O Mother, Kapil is saying, O Mother, in this advanced state of yoga, which has jnana and bhakti as its aim, the prospect of wonderful psychic powers and heavenly enjoyments comes to the aspirant. If he feels an attraction to them, he will be caught up in their enjoyment until his attraction for them is exhausted. Only when he has risen above all such attractions for powers and enjoyments will he reach my state, and that all alone can save him from being a victim of death's contemptuous laughter. There, if you get, there comes the temptation, as I was saying, last temptation. And when that last temptation comes, if you can conquer, immediately there comes a big power. You have the power to conquer such temptation. That means you become very powerful. And then you become, if you want to enjoy that power, then you are gone. That is the, again you are caught into the trap of power within the realm of this duality. But one can cross that, then that is the last state of freedom, perfect freedom. So now, the next chapter, 28th chapter. Now, Bhagavan again, Kapil Dev is again continuing his advice, saying that, O mother, I shall now describe to you the nature of meditation on the formful aspect of the Supreme Being. By practicing it, the mind is purified and established in the divine consciousness. Now, I am telling you how the science, the yogasya lakshanam bhakshe, I will tell you the science of the yogis. Svabijasya nipatmaje, Svabijasya with its all modifications. I shall now describe to you the nature of meditation on the formful aspect of the Supreme Being. Mano yenaiva vidhina prasannang jati satpatham. By putting the mind in that way, how one can move in the path of truth, satpatham. By practicing it, the mind is purified and is established in the divine consciousness. So, what is that? It is now, we are on 28th chapter, verse number 1, and now is 2. An aspirant must be abstain from evil ways and perform all his duties in a spirit of dedication to the Lord. Who will become a spiritual aspirant, he should have to be diligent and he should abstain from all evil ways. Sadharma acharan anang shaktya vidharmacha nivartanam, which is contrary to spirituality, he will have to shun, and what is favorable for your spiritual practice, you have to associate with that. That type of dharma. Instead of Bhagavad, Mahabharata talks about dharma. Even Buddhists say Bauddha dharma. So dharma holds Dhridhatu man, that's why it's called dharma. It holds. So the aspirant like us must abstain from the evil ways, be dharma, which is not righteous thing, and perform swadharma, his own karma as ordained in that particular state of life. And deva labdena santosa atmabit charanarchanam. So what he does then, perform all his actions, duties, in a spirit of dedication to the Lord. See what we are every day listening in Vedanta, Bhakti school also talking about the same. You have to be moral, ethical, we should follow righteousness, avoid unrighteous activity and association, and perform all the duties in a spirit of dedication to God. He must serve holy men and feel happy with what he happens to possess. So all these characteristics, Swadharma Acharanam Saktya, Vidharmacha Nivartanam, Devat Labdhena Santosha, Atmobit Charanarchanam. Atmobit means those who are Brahmogyanis or holy people, to serve them. That is another sadhu sangha. That is the Thakur said, Ramakrishna said. He must serve holy men and feel happy with what he happens to possess. Na? That means whatever he has, he will be contented. That is the point. That's another sign of spirituality. A disgruntled person cannot be spiritual. All the time, dissatisfied. Whatever comes, this is bad, that is bad, that is bad. But a lover of God will live the life of detachment. Whatever comes, by God's will it has come, okay, I accept it. The acceptance is more easy for those devotees. Gramma dharma nivrittischa moksha dharma rutistata mitam medhyadanam shashat vivikta kshema sevanam. Sadhan, all this practice. He said, so, Gramma dharma nivrittischa, he must shun. The shun, what he should shun or give up, give away? The ways of a worldlings. Sadharma, Gramma dharma nive. Gramma dharma means worldly. What can you say? Gramma, means uncultured. Gramma dharma here means uncultured. That means uncultured behavior. He should give up uncultured behavior. He must shun the ways of the worldly people and develop deep interest in the ways that lead to spiritual realization. Moksha dharma. Moksha dharma roti. That means he will have deep inclination to follow the path, dharma, of moksha, liberation. The path to follow the liberation, they will have affection, inclination for that. So, disrespect or disassociation with the uncultured or worldly thoughts and ideas, rather turning the attention to the righteousness and spirituality. He should eat mita medhyadanam. He should eat only moderately. And what is adanam means eating, what is conducive to the health of the body and purity of the mind. They don't have lustfully or greedily they eat. They eat what is good for the health, body and mind, purity of the mind. Our scripture says, no, whatever we eat, it creates two things. One, it nurtures our physical body, physical part, and the subtle part creates our spiritual body. That's why when we offer it to God, when we prepare, we take the name of the Lord, those wave vibrations, subtle way, affects the food. It is not visible physically. Physically, food is food. But physical food, which is nourishing the body, not for only tongue, but for the good health. That food added with, done by a soul who is a lover of God, who sings the glory of Lord, who takes the mantra when cooking, japa. So that not only purifies the soul who is cooking, but that vibration enters into the food. And whoever eats, because it is done with such purity, and then it is offered to God mentally, so what happens? That subtle thought level enters into the mind of the recipient, and that purifies. That's why it's called, any temple, we go for temple prasad. In India there is every temple we go, we call it prasad. Meaning not food, They don't say it is food. To imprint that idea, it can purify the soul. So food has two aspects. So it says, conducive to the health of the body, there's physical food, and the purity of the mind. Mind will be purified. So this type he should eat. So every behavior, bit by bit, here Kopila is talking, in one day you cannot be a yogi. In one day you cannot be a bhakta. In one day you cannot be a jnani. But you have to practice. So, common practice. Vedanta will say in one language and Bhakti is saying in another language. Vedanta will say, analyze right and wrong. No? Here what they say? They say the same thing. Sadharma acharanam gramma dharma nivrittascha. You give up all these worldly types of association and its behavior. Worldly people as they live don't behave like that. Rather you do moksha dharma, vidharmacha nivartanam. Take your hands off from vidharma or moksha dharma niratast. Do such behavior which is the path followed by the liberated souls. Follow the path of the liberated souls. Don't go to the behavior and pattern which followed by ignorant people who are in bondage. Same thing, analyze good and bad. It's one language, and here is saying, go to the real, go to the avoid the unreal, the same language two ways. And mito medhadanam. Mito means balanced. Meda adanam, medhyadanam. Adanam means eating. Eating should be moderate. And it should be good for the physical body, good for the spiritual body or subtle body. And what is conducive to the health of the body, purity mind? He should develop love for solitude and should periodically spend time in solitary places. So, one should practice. Ramakrishna said again and again in the Gospel, go to a place, solitary place, where there is solitary place, not in the humdrum of life. When we are there, we cannot get any time for thinking of God. That's why occasionally, that we do every day when you come into the morning meditation, noontime meditation, evening meditation, or you are keeping yourself with God, that is the solitary. So, solitary, stay in the solitude. Nirjan Vas, Ramakrishna, pages after pages he talks about. One should try at least once a month, for one day, every day is better, every day some hours to separate out I and God, nothing else. So develop a love for solitude and should periodically spend time in solitary places. Means this is the solitary place, staying in the temple where there is no other thought but being involved. So like that, that's why we go to retreats. Retreats means what? What is retreat? Normally meant? Retreat means people go there, what they do? They get up in the morning time. Retreat routine is what? Look at that. We are having retreat every day here. If anyone wants to experience every day solitude and every day spiritual experience, what? In the morning get up. When they go to the retreat center, there's a routine. Get up in the morning, take a shower, then come for the meditation, or do some yoga and this and that, then have breakfast, then do some karma, then study and meditation and yoga. See, look at that. The whole life, if one wants to utilize this environment, they have a golden chance. But who will be for that? Our mind is such polluted, it takes us to the other side. Being here, they want to run away from here. In the morning, when there is a chance, run. And this place, I am already here, so what is to do? Then that's a no need of coming to temple. See, look at that. We have so many. Among them, some of them never feel any need of coming to the temple for meditation. And people are getting all the benefit. That the other day someone is saying, my God, I came and I was so disturbed and my mind was so peaceful. I mean, yes, it is 90 years here. Nothing in this hall is being done excepting japa, meditation, prayers, God, 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 God. How many sadhus, how many good devotees did? How many people have experience here in this room? Who takes advantage of that? More important is to run here and there. Anyhow, God's grace when He'll come. So, love for solitude. He must abstain from injuring others, exploiting others, talking too much. Ahimsa sattamasteyam javod artha parigraha brahmacharyam tapaha shaucham saddhayo purusharchanam. Spirituality does not just fall from the heaven like a drop of rasgulla falling on your plate. It is not. You have to pay the price. So what is said, he must abstain from ahimsa, not to injure anyone, injuring others by word, thought or deed. Exploiting others. People do exploit for momentary gain, monetarily and other ways. No such thing for a spiritual person. Talking too much. Talking too much means when they talk too much, they talk mundane talk. Most of the people, when you see, they know the language of the world. If you talk about stock market, they will be very excited to do about stock market. That is necessary for survival, but not that excitement which we cannot do for God. Do we feel excited like talking like that? So he's saying that they talking too much of mundane thing. Because talk about God, which is meaningful. Ramakrishna is to talk. He's read the gospel, he's talking all the time, no? But that talking, Swami Vivekananda, we are reading, it is a conversation between Swami Vivekananda and his disciple Sarat Chakravarti, no? Chakravarti, Mr. Chakravarti. So that's just as we are sitting, as we chit-chat, all the chit-chat talks. See, filled with higher thoughts of life, philosophy, Vedantic philosophy, to the what is good for the society, all this lofty level of discussion. So they also talk, and people also talk. So other talks don't create any great impact in our life. It is also, but this spiritual talk, that's why be careful when to talk too much. Accumulating property, that's also another nature. Indulgence in sexual thoughts, words or deeds. Mauna ahimsa sattamasteyang javod artha parigraha brahmacharyam tapaha shaucham purity saddhayo purusharchanam mauna sada asanajayo sthoirjam pranajayo sanai prattaharascha indriyanang vishayan manasarhidi. Mahaprabhu. See, only it is increasing number. What you have to do, how to abstain from the world, how to not indulge yourself in other things of the world. So continues, indulgence in not talking too much, accumulating property, and indulgence in sexual thoughts, words or deeds. He must be devoted to truth, cleanliness, austerity, scriptural study, and the worship of the divine. See, he must be devoted to truth, sattanishta, truthfulness. Ramakrishna says, in this iron age, who is truthful, he will realize God. Because very difficult to be truthful in this world, because society forces you to lie. What is wrong. He must be devoted to truth and devoted to cleanliness, austerity, scriptural study and worship of divine. He must be moderate in speech. 5 verse. He must be moderate in speech, practice a steady posture of the body suitable for spiritual practice. You can sit straight for a long time. Gradually learn to control the mind and withdraw the senses from the objects to the heart. He must learn to concentrate the prana in one of its seats by means of the mind. He must contemplate the excellences and the glorious deeds of the Lord. Sit, control the prana, focus the mind on the Lord, which will generate peace and joy in the mind. Think of God then, and that will create joy and peace. By these and other means, the mind which is beset with evil tendencies and is naturally inclined to yield to instinctive urges should be brought under control and directed along the spiritual path. So, all this control, speech control, ear control, don't hear, don't talk too much. Talk about God, control, don't tell lie. If you, before saying, check, why am I saying this? Is it beneficial? Is it useful to me, my spiritual growth, or good for someone? Otherwise I don't say. That's a control, restraint. With that restraint, control the mind and try to mind focus on God. And that concentration should be increased. By these and any other means, the mind which is beset with our evil tendencies, outgoing tendencies, and is naturally inclined to yield the instinctive urges, which runs for instinctive things, eyes to see, mouth to eat, ear to hear. Those are instinctive. People go like that. How can I be withdrawn from that? Should be brought under control. All these forces are controlled and directed towards God in the heart. 8th verse. At a clean and congenial place, the aspirant should establish a seat for meditation. Now, Gita also said, you should not, you create a seat for meditation. Where? In a calm, quiet, serene place. If one takes a meditation mat and sits on the Hollywood Boulevard corner and starts meditating, how will be that? That's not a place for meditation, that's a place for fun. Go and check, sing, dance and roam around. No? You want to do, to go to some corner in the Griffiths Park where there is nobody, sit silently, no disturbance, nature, beauty, and think of God the divine. It's congenial. And there you go, sit in a good posture and start meditation. So he says, at a clean and congenial place, the aspirant should establish a seat for meditation. He should practice sitting there motionless and upright for a long time. In an isolated place like that, clean place, without distraction, less of the outside distraction, one should be motionlessly sitting in an straight posture, upright, straight posture for a longer time. He should regulate his breath to the 3 forms of pranayama, Puraka, Kumbhaka and Rechaka. Puraka, Purak, feeling. Kumbhaka, holding. Rechaka, going out. These 3 processes, they will perform the pranayama. Puraka is the drawing in of the breath, holding it within is kumbhaka, releasing the breath is rechaka. The practice can be in the reverse order also. Whatever the word order, the object of it is the studying of the mind, is steady, making the mind steady. How? We know pranayama cools down the mind. That's why people, so many varieties are there. Our pujaris, they do pranayama. 4, holding 16 and throwing out 8. Again 4, 16, 8. That is the, Swamiji said, this is the one type of pranayama. 100 types are there, permutation, combination of this holding business. But we don't recommend much because that should be trained under proper teacher. Don't do reading some book because that may create harm. Your nervous system, you are working on the lungs and other system. Therefore, learn somewhere and do. Why we do that? Our mind becomes calm. That's why better to do deep breathe in and deep breathe out. That's also another pranayama. Ramdev Baba's pranayama. That's also another type of bhatrika, bhastrika, all this. These are all different ways of controlling the breath, so that by controlling the breath, your mind becomes controlled. As we all know, our mind is connected with the breath. When we become angry, our breath becomes very irregular. When we become very emotional, upset, see how it happens. So naturally, to control the mind, do some breathing exercise, either this way, what says it should be Puraka, Kumbhaka, Rechaka, Puraka, Kumbhaka, Rechaka. Or there may be other varieties of spiritual practice. The mind of a yogi who has established control over the prana will soon shed its restless tendency. That means by doing pranayama like that, little bit, disturbing mind will be calmed down. It is a process of cooling down the mind, just as a metal subjected to a well-fanned fire is freed from its impurities. No? When a metal is put into the fire, what happens? All the negativities dross, it goes out. Similarly, the pranayama fire, the fire of pranayama, it is comparing with a fire, a fanning. So this energy, wrong energy, will go away, leave us. By pranayama, the obstacles arising in the human system by 3 humors, Vata, Pitta and Kapha, should be overcome. They also suggest by this pranayama practice, all other Ayurvedic suggestions of, we are 3 types of dosas, no? Defects we have on our body. That's why our body is not perfect. When your body is perfect, all the 3 other components, Vata, Pitta and Kapha, nature balances there. So, 3 types of humor, the humors, that's Vata, Pitta, Kapha, should be overcome by pratyahara, in gathering of the mind. By pratyahara, or withdrawing the mind, its tendencies to go after sense objects should be mastered. Pranayama is done. He's talking about Patanjali's yoga, or those 8 steps. We withdraw the mind, now first make the yama niyama he talked about, asana he talked about, pranayama just now he talked about. Then next is pratyahara. Pratyahara means withdrawing the mind. You sit for meditation such a long time, you close your eyes, but you see where is your mind. Catch that mind. Hey, come back here. Not to roam around now, come here. So, pratyahara, withdrawing. And withdrawing is of the pratyahara means gathering in of the mind. Its tendencies, naturally, if you always be practicing, hey, come back, hey, come back, hey, come back. So, mind loses its power to move around as used to do before. So pratyahara is a practice you have to do. And by dharana, now fixing the mind inwardly concentrated, the bad tendencies of the mind should be overcome. Second stage, dharana. Dharana is holding. If you hold the mind in noble thought or in God, the other thoughts cannot take possession of your mind. So mind becomes free from all these negative thoughts. And then by dhyana, now deep concentration, dhyana, man's doubts, skepticism, obsession with the physical life, and other tendencies contradictory to spiritual pursuit should be overcome. So, by dhyana, you will be able to overcome that.
There are questions.
যখন তখন বললে হবে নাকি? Chapter শেষ করতে হবে তো. We'll have to finish the chapter, then we'll. When the aspirant's mind is free from outgoing tendencies and is well controlled and peaceful, he should meditate on the form of the Lord with eyes partially closed as if gazing at the tip of the nose. That's a yogi's meditation. They close like this, but not looking here. They just outside focusing like that. Nasagra drishti they call. Some yogis, they focus on the nose, nostril. So, this is the ancient wisdom talking of the Patanjali's yoga, eightfold. Now you have to divine. After that, we do meditate on the divine form. So that is simply the thing which yogis should follow. So now you have to think of God. These are the preparation. Yama, ahimsa, non-injury, truthfulness, etc., etc. 5 of them. Niyama, saucha, cleanliness, etc. We talked about that. Then asana, sit in a good posture for a long time, it's straight. Pranayama, control of the pranic energy, and then withdrawing it to pratyahara. Pratyahara then holding there in dharana. That means that is freeing the mind from outer entanglements. And then getting absorbed in dhyana, and deep concentration to overcome, free from outward tendencies, and well controlled and peaceful. Now, dhyana, whom dhyana? What do you do meditation on? God. Your eyes partially closed, as if gazing the tip of the nose, then you meditate on the divine form. That will be talked about verses number 13 on to 33. So next day we'll read them. Verse 13 to 33. Okay, how many big questions are there? At least someone has written note. Name Sikh.
This one is here, I put it.
Oh. No. That is the only question. Achha. What say Swami Turiyananda explained that conscious sleep is samadhi. Could you advise what we can try to do when we are trying to sleep so that we have holy dreams and consciousness? So conscious sleep is samadhi, true. Very true, very simple language. We go unconsciously to sleep every day, no? Just we lie down in the bed and then tossing here and there, we do not know when we doze into the sleep. You may have some dream in between, or someday maybe you know and go to sleep direct. But it is going and you are very peaceful in that sleep condition every night when you go to deep sleep, very happy we are. Now, if you meditate, what happens? You are doing the same thing. When you are sleeping, what do? You forget the outside world. You forget the place where you are in your bed. Do you every day calculate, my bed is in Hollywood, or my bed is in America, or in which part of the world? Huh? We don't think about that. You forget the outside world, outside friends and talks, whatever you did, one by one, withdrawing. Where do you go? You go to deep sleep, through ignorance, to a road which is not lighted. Now when you sit for meditation, you see the same thing. We withdraw from the outside world and you want to focus on here. So you move. Focusing, your mind is alert. You are meditating means you are conscious. In other place, night time, mind is not conscious. When you doze up into the sleep, you do not know. Can you say exactly when you slept? No. You just go to the bed and you'll be tossing this way, that way. Exactly when it goes, you do not know. Because it is darkness, it is ignorance. But when you meditate, you consciously, your mind is alert, and you see and discard everything outside one by one, and move on, and get into God consciousness. So that's why it is called the consciously sleeping. This is called consciously sleeping. That is called samadhi. And if you go that way and reach that state, what will happen? Then that joy will be permanent joy. That joy, God vision, experience will come. So, how to practice? Practice only advice, what we can try to do when we are trying to sleep, so that we have holy dreams and consciousness. No, it is just do what Guru has told. Just Guru has told, do that. And consciously sit for meditation and try to go consciously. Meditation is a conscious movement towards rest, full rest. Our rest does not, we do not know how to meditate, that's why mind goes here and there and disturbs us. But when consciously we go to move inward, then dhyana takes to samadhi, and that samadhi becomes the samadhi of consciousness. Okay? So what we have to do? We have to do our practice. What our Guru has taught us to meditate, aware, fully aware, sitting full. Just we read today, all these steps what Kapila Dev told to Mother Devahuti, that do this meditation in this way, step by step. All the yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana. Follow that consciously. As we do every evening, every morning. So if we do that consciously and being fully aware that I am thinking of God, the Divine, who is consciousness itself, do it consciously, then you enter into the realm of that divinity. That will lead ultimately to God. They are as full of consciousness. And thinking of good thoughts always will bring good ideas. Therefore, good dreams may come. Before going to bed, if we think of some people read something holy, reading a paragraph of gospel or 2 paragraphs of gospel, some people lie down and try to think on what he has read. Ramakrishna sitting there, standing there, he is singing song, Narayan is sitting here, Mayim, the writer of the gospel, is in this corner. Like that, all these days, try to think and go to sleep. That is a good way of going to bed. Another question. This chapter is a lot like eating and...
He retracted the question.
Which question?
This question. He probably doesn't want to answer anymore.
Acha. Eating an elephant. This chapter is a lot like that. That's true. It is done one bite at a time. What would be the most effective first step in trying to do all these things Kapila says to do or refrain from doing? No, it is not a bad question, but that question also says that what is... Yes, Kapila Dev is asking us too much, so many things. You should have to give up, you should have to do this. What shall I do? I am a single person, how can I do so many points at a time? Yes, it is said that follow your Guru's words and follow your spiritual life, love God, and all these things will come. But we can start with anyone. You should be follow one, all these will come. They are linked together. If you follow truthfulness, your all other qualities will come in your life. Any of the qualities mentioned here, if we follow one, all will be brought together. Another question, Aurobindo said, that is not what one eats, but it depends on what occult environment one brings that matters. I am not sure I understand this statement of his. So, yeah, occult environment it means the spiritual thoughts which one brings along with the food. Food is eating. That's why when you do the puja 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours worship, and the spiritual environment is created, is it not? And then you offer that food to God. So what you go do? The food is charged with some noble waves and vibrations and thoughts, no? And when it goes in a hall where people are singing, dancing and drinking and doing all these things, suppose that an environment, food also gets in the food subtle way, those vibrations also go. Therefore, what occult environment, if you call occult environment, as a I do not know exactly what Aurobindo meant, but to my understanding it comes, we create that spiritual environment. Even eating food, we can make a spiritual environment. That's why every time we say, Brahmar Param Brahmovi, why we say so? Say to create a spiritual environment. So, the food should not be only gross food, it should be spiritual food. And spiritual food is a mixture of your gross food, as I said, plus the additional ideas which is enjoined in the food by the preparation. Those who prepare, that depends on them. Those who are eating, if they are thinking of God and eating, no, then it will be different effect. That food itself can purify. Ahara shuddha, sattva shuddhi. When you are pure, your food is pure, when you eat, that food is pure, your buddhi, your intelligence, your understanding will be pure. Sattva shuddha dhruva smiti. If you really have proper understanding, and then it will bring you good memories, godly memories. And then it will bring smriti labde, you will ultimately get to liberation. Can you talk a bit more about swadharma? How do you determine what is your swadharma? This is a very common question all the time. We try to understand this. Swadharma means we have our different roles in life, different roles in life. So you are driving, so you should follow driver's dharma, not reckless, not creating terror to others, not creating problem for others, to yourself and others, no? There is a dharma, there is rules and regulations of that. You are a father. Father has a father's dharma, how to treat the children, how to treat your husband, how to treat your wife, how to treat... So these are dharma. Everything which is expected from a noble person. Anyone, third party, observing you, you are a teacher. Teacher's dharma. Teacher should be profound in his knowledge. He should be ready to understand first himself, then try to teach, no? Not like a blind guy trying to guide another blind guy. So our Upanishad says they both fall into the ditch. One falls upon one and breaks their arms. So that is the point. The swadharma is in which nowadays society has changed, and changed society, we can still find out what is swadharma. So whatever we do, in what phase of life, and what is expected from a society, good people will expect from you. How as a father, how as a mother, how as a sister, how as a brother, how as a husband. So you do what is a noble expectation. And to follow that life, that needs austerity. We have to sacrifice so much. Ideal husband, ideal father, ideal mother, no? So everyone plays a whole day different roles. When he goes to college, he's a college teacher or a clerk or office bearer or whatever position. If everyone does Hindu Dharma, the spirituality, emphasis on Sadharma, because if you do it perfectly, the society will be the best society. Then an engineer is doing his engineering work, no? The person who is working in the street as repairing, he should be doing his own dharma. So everyone in the field, what is to be done, and if we can add this idea, I am doing for God, that's the best. And that can liberate us. So you cannot just say, this is the dharma of me and that is the dharma of you. We are a mixture of all. Wherever we can perfect our behavior and we do such actions which leads us to God realization. So performing sadharma means my ordained responsibilities in perfect way is called sadharma. And we have to be best, doing our best in every role. I am a monk, I should have a dharma. I cannot go like another person whose goal is different. That's my dharma is my dharma, your dharma is your dharma. Dharma is in what stage of life, what position of life you are working. Okay? So thank you all. So we'll be hoping to see you at 7:30 p.m. evening with our Santi Gita class. And I end here. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.